I want you to tell me about a time where this business nearly broke you, or you had a deal implode or a huge loss that you're like, yo, if I wasn't stronger, this would have got me.
I would say last year. So
Oh,
last year,
last year.
yes.
Why do you think so many people are turned off or maybe not made aware of the power of flipping land?
I would say is the lack of knowledge when it comes to underwriting. That's all it is.
Welcome to another episode of the Leads to Deals podcast, where we talk about everything from leads to deals and everything we talk about leads to deals. You're watching this because you're obsessed with leveling up your life, dominating sales, mastering persuasion, and skyrocketing your financial success. Today, if you're looking for motivation, mentorship, or just a masterclass in real estate, I think you walked into the right episode. Our guest, Willny, he didn't come from money, no trust fund, no family connections, no college degrees. 18 years old, moved from Florida right to Houston, Texas, literally $0 in his pocket, but nothing but hunger muscle, that hustle muscle. And from there, he really built it all, guys, from cold calling Craigslist leads to flipping apartments and land, CEO of a wildly successful REI office, one of the realest voices in the game. If you're not on X, I need you to get on X just to follow Willny. No fluff, no fake gurus, just real deals and real results. So welcome to the show, Willny Guifarro. Let's get it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you having me, Scott.
Dude, first off, you talk so wild on X. I love it. I love following you on X. And if you're not, you need to go in there. So, dude, you've posted some major wins lately. Did I see something about you purchasing a house for moms?
Yeah. So recently, in what was it, February, I went ahead and bought my mom a house.
How'd
So,
that feel, bro?
dude, amazing. Like, I'll tell you this, bro. So I grew up I grew up in that same city, but in apartment complexes my entire
Yeah.
life. Like my entire childhood was in the same apartment complex. So
Yes.
and I always told my mom, like, hey, one day I'm gonna get rich, I'm gonna buy you a house.
Mm.
And after many years, 10 years of just writing that goal down, it finally happened. Glory to God.
Glory to God, dude. And
Yes,
to
sir.
think about it too, because you talk about it, there's a couple of different ways life works. Sometimes, like your parents, you'll have an upward progression. Sometimes you'll have a lateral, or sometimes it even goes down. And then, for your situation, just listen, and it's like, yo, we didn't have a vertical movement. We stayed in that same apartment complex, if I'm hearing you right,
Yeah.
like almost your whole youth. And to be able to do that for all the sacrifices mom did she know it was coming? Like, did she know? Was it a little surprise? Like, how did that come to fruition?
She knew it was coming.
Yeah.
She just didn't know when. I told her that I'm gonna buy the house, and yeah, man. Thank God we made it happen, man. Like I told you, man, she's been renting for like 28 years.
Yeah.
Imagine how much money just thrown away in rent.
Yeah,
So
no shit.
so
Good
yeah, it
job.
was.
Good son.
Yeah, I
Good
appreciate
son.
that, man.
Um,
Gotta take care of moms.
so I hear you always say I've listened to a lot of your content and that you're one of the realists in the game, but you say real estate is not for the meek. So I
I
want you to
agree.
tell me about a time where this business nearly broke you, or you had a deal implode or a huge loss that you're like, yo, if I wasn't stronger, this would have got me.
I would say last year. So
Oh,
last year,
last year.
yes, yes. So last year was a very tough year for us. I ended up buying this mansion, and it's like a mini mansion. It's like 4,000 square feet. It's not really,
Yeah.
it's pretty big for me, right? And what ended up happening was, I thought I was on top of the world. You
Yeah.
know, everything I touched turned to gold, right? And
Yeah.
I thought I could go into this project and buy it, fix it up, and sell it immediately. That was wrong. It took me 10 months to sell. I had to drop the price 150,000 off what I originally, projected. Plus, I went $40,000 above budget.
Damn.
Yeah. And those payments were like $8,000 a month, and it almost broke me, man, but yeah, it was definitely one of our worst years in wholesaling.
Do you think about this one particular property? Like, do you remember when you were making the decision? Was it like bad analysis driven? Was it somewhat ego driven? Like, yo, I got like you kind of had a feeling, but you was like, no, I can still flip it and
Yeah,
make it happen.
it was a little bit of both, you know.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's a little bit of ego, sometimes it's a little bit of you know, messing up the numbers. And because I
yeah,
did, you know, I didn't do the numbers correctly. I didn't expect such a house of this caliber to require so much money. Like, we didn't really even do a lot, you know. We
yeah,
really it wasn't like we did a full gut job, but we ended up spending $120,000 on it, you know, or
yeah,
110,000. Um, and yeah, it was minimal stuff, but I didn't add it up, and I didn't add up the holding costs because I thought I had so much of a spread. Like, even if
yeah.
I'm, you know, even if I'm out of pocket 50 grand, it's fine, you know, because I'm going to sell it for like a million. But it didn't work out that way. But yeah, that one that was definitely, it was a good thing that it happened. You know, it was great. I wouldn't want it any other way. I needed to
Yeah.
get that burn, you know, that fire
Uh-huh.
ass, you know, because sometimes you're up here, and you know, you think, man, I can never go down there again. But it's kind of like a stock chart.
Yeah.
It goes like this, and then like that, and then it just keeps climbing. So
You know, I had a good mentor very similar to what you were saying when I was really young. He said, Scott, you know, one of the things that sucks about my relationships is, you know, I'm never wrong and I don't really regret much. And I was like, what are you saying? He was like, you know, your wife might say something. He's like, no, but even when I mess up, there's such a lesson in it that like I'm not going to sit here and apologize for a long time. Like I almost sometimes need those mistakes because it allows me to get this vital lesson that I needed to catapult to the next level. And so just hearing you say something like that, where you're like, no, I actually, I'm glad that that happened because it
yeah,
taught me something. It showed me a weakness and then that made you better. I think that's what makes you, like I said, one of the realest in the game because you document it all. Like if you want to see somebody who's no fluff, which is one of your things too, you're like no fluff, no fake gurus. You're like the anti-guru. You know, since you're so honest and transparent, I'll ask you a question. What do you
sure.
think, like, when you watch some of these other gurus, what's something that makes your blood boil?
Um, I, prob- I I probably wouldn't say boil, but I do think it's very unethical. You know, people teaching other people how to do real estate, but they're not doing the business.
Amen.
They're flexing a lifestyle based off the money that the coaching business brings in. You
Yep.
know, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem very ethical to me. You know, it's yeah, it's one of those things, dude. But you know, it's
I,
yeah,
I think it's kind of appropriate in other industries, but not really here. You know, the reason why is because there's so much volatility in this space. And so
exactly.
that's the thing that I have. It's like, okay, well, yes, you made a bag and 6 years ago when this was different and this was different and interest rates and these
Yeah,
extra strategies didn't exist. And so to teach somebody the old way and to take today's dollars, it just tends to be a bit of an authenticity gap there. And so I'm 100%
100%.
with you. Like you need to be doing the deals. And
Exactly.
so and so for a guy like you, it's like, okay, I'm actively doing deals. What are you doing today as like your current marketing strategies? Mail, a lot of mail, right?
Right. So we mainly do SMS marketing
No
and
shit.
mail. Yeah. SMS marketing and mail. Those are like our number one strategies. We still have a few callers, but it's nothing, you know, we don't really have a lot of it. You know, we have maybe two callers, you know,
Yeah.
just so they could process the lists that we're buying, you know, because we try to hit them from every angle, right? The calling, we're trying to text them, and we're trying to mail them. But I guess what's different, what separates our type of marketing from a lot of other people who do the same business is that we send out physical contracts. We send
Dope.
out like one-page contracts with a cover letter on the back of the contract, you know, and that
Dope.
one-page contract is gonna have, we're gonna lowball the hell out of them,
Sure.
70% of assessed value,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
people
of assessed. Yes. Great.
assess value. And assess value is usually like, I don't know, like maybe 60% of the
Yeah.
market value,
Yeah.
70%. So you're taking off another 30%. So
Yes.
you're really getting a deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So they come in a lot of the times, they come in signed. Like just this week, we've probably gotten 4 contracts that they just, here, sign, send it back.
Super dope psychology driven letter too, you know what I mean? Like no one would do that. That's a kind of surprise. And then you get this letter and it's, if you're in need, it almost is like it's divine intervention, because who in the world ever gets a one-sided contract ready to go right now?
Yeah.
How'd you come up with this? How long you been doing it?
So I've been doing it. I've been doing mail for a while
Sure.
now. But this exact strategy, I've been doing it since last year. A buddy of mine's named Jonathan actually put me onto this. But you know, we ended up, yeah. I mean, we go, we go pretty heavy on that. We're sending out maybe 20 on average, like 25,000 a month mailers.
Great. I love that. And
Yeah.
because your price in your contract is so, hedged to your benefit, are you having to go really tight on the data, or are you able to go into kind of more moderately priced neighborhoods, or are you still staying super low?
So for anything that is $300,000 assessed value and below, all the way up to like maybe 50. So 50 to 300, we make them the offer. Uh Below 50 and above 300, we leave it blank. So we just want them to reach back out to us, put a price on it and sign the contract and send it back to us. And let me see if we can do that. Because the we did it. So this is a lot of trial and error.
Sure.
We did not get a lot of action from people with more expensive properties, right? 500,000, 600,000, $700,000 assessed value properties. We did not get a lot of answers for that. So I was thinking like, man, well, they probably didn't reach out to us because we lowballed the hell out of them, is
Yes.
that's that 70,000. I mean, 700,000, we're offering like 400,000, 500,000. So obviously, they don't like the offer.
Yeah.
So we ended up removing the price for
Yes.
those. We just want them to sign, put a price, send it back, and,
I
we'll
love it.
see if we can do that.
A lot of that we've had to navigate as well on the outbound marketing for my agency that I have here in Columbia. And, we do a low anchor of 40%. When they're like not giving us a price, we'll anchor them. Typically investors in the area can purchase
Right.
homes anywhere between like 40 to 60. And then we'll just say what the percentages are in cash value, not the actual percentage number. But then we notice, very similar to you, is when we're calling these higher end or higher ARVs, somebody's got a $700,000 home and you're anchoring them at the bottom at 40%, you can't even get to their pain points. You can't
Right.
even get to the real discovery. So that's so wise that you guys set it up that way. How many also FUs are you getting too on those letters? How's that sound?
It's a lot, man. We get a lot of FUs. We get a lot of mail that comes in with a bunch of,
Yeah, yeah.
them just what's it called, just going crazy on us, like fuck you guys, this and that. And yeah, man, it's a lot, but it's meant for the right person.
Of
It's
course.
yeah. I mean, and I'll tell you this, man. Sometimes we offer a certain price, and we're still able to get it way below that, like
Yes.
way below.
Yeah.
Um, because we go in with the mindset like, okay, if it's a house, I'm buying it. If I'm buying a house, I mean, I'm assuming that it's in livable condition. So when we go out there and we see that it's not in livable condition, then we got to take back our offer, and instead of doing 150, we got to do 100.
Yeah.
And
So
it works out. So
So will you walk us to kind of through your guys at a high level sales process, but let's start at that marketing channel. Is
sure,
anybody just calling you, or is it always they're returning the letter, or are they calling the phone number on the
both,
contract?
both.
Both.
So
Okay.
so we put so on the front end on this marketing channel, we on this letter, we go ahead and put in a phone number that is attached to our call rail account, right? And then it gets routed over into our
Yeah.
CRM. We put an email as well on that agreement, as well as that phone number. Well, you could text it as well. You could text it. So sometimes people go ahead and text us a photo of the contract, and we just turn it into a PDF. We sign it and we open title with it. You know,
Wow.
and on the other side, sometimes we get emails, and sometimes people just want to call and negotiate.
Of course.
And yeah, man, it keeps us very busy, to be honest.
Are you guys going face to face, Wilney, or are you mainly closing over the phones? In
Mainly
general,
over the phones. Yeah.
mainly over the phones.
Mainly over
Okay.
the phones. Majority of these properties that we're doing is pure land.
Okay.
We do houses occasionally, but for the most part, it's like I would say like 80%, 85% land, 15% other, right? Houses,
Yeah.
multifamily, industrial, stuff like that.
So that kind of helps fill in some gaps there. I wasn't 100% aware of that. I knew that you specialized in land. I didn't know
Yeah.
it was like that big of your portfolio. I
Oh
can
yeah.
tell you, out of all of my nationwide accounts, the most successful, the easiest and most enjoyable accounts are land accounts for me,
Really?
Willie. They are. And I have this one kid in North Carolina. I won't say exactly which parts. I even shouldn't even have said the damn state. But I have this one kid in North Carolina that is absolutely murdering it with me right now in land. And
That's
what
awesome.
he did, what he came up with, that was a really cool algorithm. He was like, kind of like your mail, but having it done over voice. He said, "Here, Scott, here's what I've done. I've run all my comps roughly by acres in these zip codes, and I can give you pretty relatively close where I would need to be at for an acquisition price." And so what
Mhm.
I did is I set up a tiering system with my agents. I say, get on the phone with them, create value, do discovery, do your normal. And if it's that price or lower, that's what you pre-negotiate on the phone, you'll get this commission. You can
Wow.
go 10% more and you get half of that commission. Anything more than 10%, you still have to send the lead because that's your job, but you get no commission. Anyways, and it just incentivized this whole structure there where, I don't know, 3 to 5 leads a day for his exact asking price or better. We're turning over leads to him and said, "Hey, remember that property you said you would buy at this amount? Boom, they're ready. Boom, they're ready. Boom, they're ready."
Wow.
And it's so good because it gives us a barometer and there's no false expectations. Most cold calling, it goes like, "Hey, are you interested in selling your land? If so, here's this person you can talk to, and they might want retail or might not have any urgency."
Right.
We're able to price check them beforehand. And so I just thought, man, he's the first guy to take the time to do a rough guesstimate by size of lot.
That's
And
not
it's really
bad.
worked out. Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
really worked
smart.
out.
I like that. I like the whole tiering system.
And what are you guys doing in regards to, are you doing more infills, larger? Are you taking them down? And what's kind of exits on land?
So for the most part, I'll be honest with you, man, we're doing everything. Like
Everything. I love it.
everything, So our marketing dollars, they go towards land, right? Majority of it goes towards land.
You mean
But
large parcels, right? Is that when you're saying land?
infill lots as well as big acreage.
Everything. Okay.
So for the person that's like just now getting started in this business, what I would tell them is you got to do everything, dude. You got to do
Amen.
houses, you got to do townhouses, you got to do infill lots, big acreage, and and just gain the knowledge on underwriting these type of properties, even if you don't know
Yes.
how to underwrite it, right? Um, and that way with the houses you get those quick flips, right? 10, 15,000, let's go. It just keeps rolling. Now with the big plots of land, those
Uh-huh.
take a longer period of time, but it's a big paycheck, Um, and so you got to have a mix, right? A mix of
Yeah.
deals where the speed is very quick. We could get in and out, and that's going to pay the bills,
Yep.
as well as spend. As you got to as well spend your money, your marketing money on those big plots of land, right? Or
Yeah.
those commercial apartment buildings, because those are what's going to give you those massive paydays. I'll tell you this, bro. I've every six-figure deal plus that I've done
Uh-huh.
has either been through vacant land or multifamily apartments, commercial multifamily, you know? So so yeah, I mean that's why I tell everybody like, man, you should be targeting everything. You shouldn't limit yourself, especially in this economy. Why would you limit yourself?
Yeah.
Don't
And
have
so for everybody out there, multiple six-figure deals. There's so many guys and gals out there that are struggling to get a deal or get a 10K deal or a 20K deal. And it's the diversity that you're talking about here. But
right.
in the beginning, do you ever hear of anybody who just goes directly into land? You didn't go directly into land, right? You
No,
started off wholesaling traditional homes. Can you kind of walk us through that initial journey?
sure thing, man. So you mean the journey of my first deal?
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah, like when you were first starting out, like, hey man, I struggled. I think it took you like a
took
couple of
me
months. You got your first deal off of Craigslist, right? Don't I
Yeah,
recall that?
so this all started back in high school. I was a senior in high school, and I found this guy named Sean Terry on the internet, and I just became obsessed, man. I became utterly obsessed with wholesaling. Like I cut off my friends. I didn't speak to family for many months. just because I needed to lock in, right? And that's what everybody should do, especially if you're, getting started into a new business. You got to obsess over it at the beginning. So that's what I did. It took me so it took me 8 months to get my first deal. From the moment that I started making offers to the moment I closed it, it was 8 months, and this was like maybe 2 weeks after graduation, and then it took me another 8 months to get my second deal, because I didn't know marketing.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do none of this. No, I didn't know how to pull a list or get a dialer, nothing.
Yes.
So, but yeah, man, it was it was purely Craigslist, Zillow at the beginning, free marketing channels, and I started calling
A
people.
lady sneaked on my calendar yesterday, Willny. Her name's Gracie. If she's watching, she's in Richmond, Virginia, and somehow she got referred. She's like, I haven't done my first deal yet, and she's asking me for all these strategies and stuff, and it's just she doesn't have any capital, and very similar situation. And I'm
Yeah,
like, well, hun, you should be driving for dollars. Like,
yeah,
let's do a bandit sign or drive in for dollars. And let's just do the least cost. It's going to be high friction. It
yeah.
sucks. It sucks. Calling Craigslist deals, bro, had to have been brain damage back
Oh
in
yeah,
the day. So like, but
100%.
that's what it took to get those first few deals, get those marbles out of your mouth. Because I was explaining to her, she was like, "Well, I've heard about PPL." I'm like, "Sweetie, you don't have a pitch. You don't have a system. You don't have anything. Like you can't afford to go drop 3,000 or 5,000 on PPL at this stage, and you don't even got them. You don't have the marbles out of your mouth yet." And
Right,
so,
right.
I guess for you, how long until you started getting that phone confidence, that presence?
Um, Great question, man. So, so crazy enough, man. I had that confidence from the beginning, dude.
Boom. Okay.
From the beginning, I told everybody, "Hey, look, man, I'm a real estate investor. I never done a deal in my life. I never done a deal in my life, and I'm over here talking as if
Yes.
I've done 1,000 deals. I'm over
Yes.
here talking about EMD and the contract and the closing date and the option and all this and that. So I really faked it till I made it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to do that, even if you're not confident. Pretend to be confident. Or
Yeah.
lean on somebody else's confidence. So I had a mentor. um uh I really leaned on his understanding of the business, and this is why proximity is so powerful, because by knowing one person that's doing it, you can always lean on their
Yeah.
confidence. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty quick. It was I understood that it was a numbers game. I locked in like 10 deals and did not, and I had to back out of every single one of them.
Yep.
So with that being said, you're never gonna have it all figured out.
Yeah.
It's just BS, man. You're never gonna have
Action.
it figured out 1,000% figured out. It's just
Yes.
BS. So you got majority of us are in our own ways, are
Yeah.
in our own path, right? So you got to get yourself out the way, and just take action.
And if you look at the old school photos of you, you go through your social, man, where you have that long hair, and like you going up to some senior citizen's house just trying to help them out of their crib,
Yeah,
like you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm here. I am all me all day. It wasn't now you got this crisp professional look, but back in the day, shit, it's one of those things I see and I say, man, it's that confidence, right? It's that
100%.
belief in yourself, the fact that your back was against the wall. I've been following your journey for so long now. I've heard a bunch, like I think you hold like some records in the wholesaling and investing space. I need to know because I've never talked to you about it, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you're tired of talking about it. Can we talk about the 700K wholesale deal?
Yeah, yeah, man. So that was a game changing deal. That was our biggest wholesale deal. So we pulled a list. We found 93 acres, the same exact process as houses, bro. The exact same thing. We bought a list. We skip traced it. We text blasted it. And you know, we came across the seller. He owned 93 acres out in Mesquite, right next to Dallas. Um, he was very straight up. He was like, "Hey man, I want 950. I'm not taking nothing less." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." Boom, signed contracts, and yeah, man, it took us like maybe I would say like 2 months to sell it,
Yeah.
but we ended up selling it 4 months after we put it under contract. which is typical for these larger plots of land. So we got it for 950. We ended up selling it for 1.65 million as a double close. We ended up making a little bit less than 700.
Yeah.
Um, and crazy enough, man, I bought it for 950. I sold it for 1.65. We made almost 700,000. The guy that I sold it to is a friend of mine. He has a title company here in Houston. Uh, he flipped it again for 1.85. So he made 200 grand
Wow.
on a JV deal. He made 200 grand on a JV deal. That guy ended up flipping it again for $500,000 above that.
Wow.
So talk about leaving money on the table, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, no,
You said
it's a butterfly effect. That's more,
exactly
yeah, that there's a lot of people were able to eat from that deal.
a
I need
thousand.
to whereas did things get shaky at the end? Because would you like, oh my gosh, like we got this assignment ready, like did you get a little nervous going into that closing office that day? How was it?
I'll tell you this, man. The biggest deals are the easiest deals to close. The
Mm,
bigger the deal, the easier it is. You're not gonna have affidavits of airships that need to be done. You're not gonna have sellers trying to back out or buyers trying to back out. It's all gonna be a breeze. Uh, a month ago, we just closed one for 260,000. $260,000 assignment. That took 30 days in total from contract to close, and it was a breeze. Every big deal is going to be a breeze. It's the small deals. It's the 5,000,
yeah.
$10,000 deals that give the most headaches. But the caliber of these people that you're dealing with in these bigger transactions, they know very well not to mess around. If they decide to back out, it's gonna be lawsuits, and they're smart. They're,
Yeah.
they're a lot smarter, basically.
Why do you think so many people are turned off or maybe not made aware of the power of flipping land?
Great question, man. So I would say is the lack of knowledge when it comes to underwriting. That's all it is. People just don't know how to underwrite it. I have a buddy of mine out of San Antonio. I remember he came to my office, and I told him, like, dude, we're doing like 90% land, and he was like, what? You guys doing land? Man, we just throw those leads away. Like, what? What is wrong with you, man? So he ended up, looking into land after he learned how to analyze.
Yeah.
So you just got to learn how to analyze these deals. That's all it is. The better you are at underwriting different asset types, the more money you're gonna make.
Yeah.
Whether it be industrial, whether it be a 100-acre parcel of land or info lot or a strip center, whatever it is, right? You need to increase the knowledge when it comes to underwriting these asset types. That way, you are able to make offers over here, make offers over there, and yeah, man, you can't just stick to houses. So
Yeah. I think also too, man, there's so much of this machine of education that's built around the fix and flip community that like wholesaling is your entry point into being a fix and flipper, which is
that's
then
right.
your entry point to be able to build a portfolio for buy and holds. And all that's happening over here in this room, but behind door number one is this land thing that a lot of people, it may not be as sexy or sound as sexy because there's not this whole educational ecosystem around it.
Right.
But I think the thing I love the most about your story, and I think anybody who wanted to go into land, the best part is like you built your sales and communication and marketing skills off of this other thing, which is talking to distressed sellers, et cetera. Like you understand follow up, you understand nurturing, you understand
100%.
KPIs. Because when you get into land, there may not be as much of an emotional thing that you have to overcome, and it may feel a little more transactional. But if you have,
That's
I
right.
said this to my closers today, I said, I want you to be used to using 100-pound dumbbells. So that way, when you're on the phone with a lead who only needs 20 pounds, you're just rocking it.
Yeah.
Like I need you to be over prepared. And so I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is part of your success over here is because you were be able to learn so much over here?
100%, 1,000%. Yeah. So everything. I mean, with the houses, I mean, that's where everything started. With you know, going out to meet the homeowners and dealing with all this and that. You got affidavits of airships. You got people that died. I mean, yeah, it's all good. Everything is good. Everything
Amen.
everything is good. Everything adds to your journey, and you just got to keep even the things that hurt you. You know, like maybe a financial loss or something. There's a way for it to add into your journey, but you just got to find the lesson. So yeah, man.
Talk to me about Ohio. I know you took a sprint up to Ohio for a little bit of your journey. Are you still up there at all? Did you come back to Texas? What's the deal with Ohio?
No, Ohio. We tried Ohio. It was, man, it was tough. A
Yeah,
little tough out there. You know, we
yeah.
did some marketing out there, but it's too cheap. Like these
Mm-hmm.
some areas are just too cheap. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so what we do now, man, is we avoid areas where where there's cheap houses,
Yep.
basically, or or very little activity. So we only want massive markets and the outskirts
Yep.
all around. That's where we're at. So, but yeah, Ohio is something else. Are you guys
No, I have clients in Ohio. I'm not a fan of it, just like I'm not a fan. Well, I have two really rock star guys in Chicago, but they've gotten really good boots on the ground and being able to identify. But some of these more poverty driven markets, I don't know a better way to say it, it's so street level that if you're
Yeah,
not like right there, it could even be the opposite end of the same street. And so you really need local intelligence, I found. And almost all of Ohio reminds me of Chicago.
1000%.
No offense to my people up there. But it's just it didn't seem it's not my favorite market in the nation, by far, but I have a
What is
lot
your
of
favorite market? What is your
I
favorite
I'll
market?
say it I'll say it on here with pride, Connecticut.
Connecticut,
Connecticut.
number one.
These kids and dude, I see the KPIs. I know how much activity it takes from calls to leads, leads to contracts, contracts to ROAS. The Connecticut is on fire, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. And I'll tell you, none of these Arizona Cowboys or Texas Cowboys are calling to the Northeast. Everybody's like, all right, let me do Florida, let me do Georgia, let me do North Carolina.
Me,
And
that's me right there.
everybody's skipping the Northeast because they're like, they just don't hear much buzz. But I'm telling you, the numbers are ridiculous up there.
Really, I heard it's expensive as hell over there in Connecticut.
Well, you know what it is? People are nice to talk to, and your middle class home is 350 and up.
Oh wow.
And so, it's a more elevated middle class, but still a easy to talk to what would be comparatively upper middle class in other markets. And
Mm,
so, anyways, they're
that's
just nice
awesome.
to talk to, and they have problems just like everybody else. I
Yeah.
tell you something real quick for me. I'm here in Virginia right now, and so we do Richmond, Virginia. That's my market. I have only done this remotely for 5 years for myself. Just being back here though, and being able to go shake some sellers' hands and go, dude, it was a eye-opening experience for me for the first time, who's only done virtual from another continent, to come here and actually
Really,
talk to some people and take some photos. It was exciting, you know?
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was like, people who, like, play video games and then they get to
Yeah,
meet their
and then you
video
meet them
friends.
in person.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like,
I was like,
wow,
"Oh, shit, I gotta
you're
go
like, this
actually."
is you.
Yeah, this is good. I wanna
That's
talk
awesome.
about land real quick. I see some people say, "Hey, man, there's not enough in my market." And I'm like, "Well, you're kind of in a major metropolitan, so do you run the risk of tapping out your area, and is that a thing for land?"
Um, yes. So it is a thing, but for us, I mean, you just got to keep mailing and keep marketing to these people, keep looking at different markets, and so that same situation has caused us to move into these other markets. For a good while, we were just in Houston, and then got to go into the outskirts, Montgomery, Fort Bend. Damn, bought all the records here. I need to
Yeah.
buy more records. So okay, let's try Dallas. Okay, Dallas, and then you just keep going and going and going, and yeah, man. But we keep mailing them, to be honest.
Do
Like
do
we'll
do you
mail them.
have a number? Have you ever like, "Hey, this deal, we sent them X amount of pieces of mail before they finally became a deal?"
You mean the KPIs for direct
Yeah,
mail?
like, roughly, like, do you have any clue how many p licks it takes to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop?
That's a great question, man. I don't know off the top of my head, man, but what we do is we go ahead and send out these campaigns, and we just start removing people from that same list.
Uh-huh.
Anybody that has responded, it gets removed. So we
Great.
don't mail them again. But the thing is, this time, let's say the second go around, right? The first go around on the mail, we're mailing out at 60%, 65% of the assessed value. The next one is going to go out at 70%,
Yes.
75%. And then the
Yes.
next one is going to go out this percent, 80, 85. And then there's a point where it doesn't get mailed out with no offer. It just
Yeah.
says, give me a call. Like, fill out the contract, tell me how much you want, and give me a call.
Great.
So I think I think it would have been a little bit much easier to, to track as far as the KPI goes if it was like, just a regular, one of these, right? Just a
Yeah.
regular
Yeah. Yeah.
postcard. But it's, you know, we get response, man. We get a good amount of response with everyone. So
If we ran GPT through this, one of the themes and say, hey, what's the common theme that maybe others missed that you saw GPT? It would probably say something about like resilience, because you take a guy like you that took 8 months to get his first deal, or how many ever, and then X amount of more months to get his second deal. And then just the type of repetition in your marketing cadences that have to happen. And that's the thing with people in mail that they don't understand is mail is a beautiful channel, but it's almost like TV where you have this weird metric that you can't quantify. And it's like, how many times do they have to see this piece before they take action? And you really don't know, but you send them a letter and then they get somebody else, but then they get yours and they get yours. And finally time or circumstance has changed.
exactly.
And they pick up the phone and they call you.
1,000%, man. And sometimes they won't even. Sometimes they will call you like 6 months later, right? Like we had a deal go under contract like 2 weeks ago. We sent out that campaign back in October. We sent it out back in October, and we just didn't hit it again. Hit that specific record again, and boom, they just gave us a call. So yeah, man, it's one of those things. But yeah.
How do you see, out of curiosity, your guys doing land, and you hear a lot in the real estate ecosystem out there about how Texas is really struggling. I just saw Houston, and you
Yeah,
see
I
all
know.
these scare tactic KPIs everywhere, and you're on X, so you see it too. So what say you, guy who's doing deals in Texas? How is the local Texas real estate market? And then what will be your vision for the rest of this year?
Great question, man. So the local just Texas market, because I'm in a few different markets, right? You got Austin, you got Dallas, the major markets.
Yes.
It's definitely taking a little hit. There's not. You got a lot more sellers and buyers, but you just got to keep marketing, man, and you just got to keep lowballing the hell out of people. That's all it is. Before we would make an offer based off 70% of ARV, right? 70% of ARV for a house minus a rehab and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now we're doing 60%.
Yeah.
For houses. For land, you got to be very, very picky. Like, we're not messing with no flood zones, unless it's in like inside the city of Houston, right? Inside a very good area, because there's some good areas that's in the flood zone.
Yeah, for sure.
It is what it is. So that's a big. So the flood zone aspect plays a major part with land, right? So yeah, we're kind of backing away from areas that are in the flood zone, or that we see a lot of activity, basically. If there's a crazy amount of active listings in that specific zip code, we don't want to mess with it. We don't want to mess with it. So
Does your mail strategy with how you're doing based off of assessed value, are you doing that also for single families?
exactly, yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're doing it for both single family as well as raw land.
And assessed off of assessed value.
Off of assessed value, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's above, like I told you, if it's above
Sure.
300,000, we're not
Yeah.
even gonna make them an offer. We're just gonna tell them, hey, write your price right here and let us know. And yeah, man. Some of
Good
them
for you.
turn into wholesale deals, others turn into novations. Yeah.
And do you have your favorite mail house, or are you guys doing all that yourselves? Because I saw at one point back in the day, you was handwriting all your letters. So
Yeah.
like to go from handwriting letters to sending out 25, 35,000 in a month pre-built contracts. Come on now.
Yeah, man. Thank God, dude. It was a journey, man. It was.
Are you guys doing it though now in-house, or are you using an outsourced mail
So we're
company?
using a mail house.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very smart.
ITI direct mail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
Uh,
man, and it helps. We just prepare them the list, we give them the template, we send it off to them, and the phones just start blowing up.
I know you have, and sometimes they're just pissed off people like, how
Yeah,
dare you? How dare you? And I've
exactly.
actually had people come to me for cold calling. They're like, hey man, I was doing mail, but everybody was just mad that I had a photo of them on the postcard. And I'm like, oh Lord have mercy. If that's your barometer for the pain you're willing to withstand, like
Yeah,
you got a thing coming because you need
right.
that. You need them phones are ringing. And also sometimes you're converting those people over too. Like, how
Exactly.
dare you? Well, let me ask, where would we have to be at? And now all of
Right.
a sudden we have a conversation. You talk about this a lot in your land flipping blueprint, right? That's your course, or tell me about what the land flipping blueprint is.
Yeah, so that's Flipping Acres 101.
Mm,
That's on flippingacreage.com. Basically, man, it's a to B, A to Z course on flipping big plots of land, 10 acres, 50 acres, 100 acres. Um, these right there is what's going to give you those much needed catapults. You
yeah,
know, the $10,000 to $20,000 deals, of course, you got to be grateful for it. You know, you take it,
yeah,
of course. You know, if somebody was to give you a $5,000 assignment for a piece for a house that you got, I mean, take it, cool.
yeah, of course.
But you gotta have some type of big payday awaiting for you in the future. You know, whether it be in a few months from now or next year. Um, but you gotta have big, or at least one big deal in motion. So that's what
Yeah.
it is in the Flipping Acres. You know, teaches you how to underwrite the deal, how to actually find these properties, how to find the buyers, how to really how to underwrite. That's like the main gist of it. How to really analyze these deals and put a price on it.
After Texas, I don't know if there is an after Texas, such a big darn state, but have you had your eyes on this model on the land in other states?
Yeah. 100%. So we're in Texas. We're marketing to North Carolina,
Nice.
Arizona, Georgia, and what is it? I think Arkansas.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Arkansas. So yeah. So we're doing this exact same model in a few different markets, um, and so far so good. You know, we've gotten deals in a good amount of states now, but we'll see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
we'll see how it works out there. It's we're always testing stuff, man. So
Yeah, as you should be, man. You're
sure.
a guy who's moving and shaking. I know that I really believe in land, and so for everybody out there, I have clients who are just crushing it in land right now, and I love how you are and how transparent you are, and the fact that if people want to learn more about land, they can go to somebody who's actually doing it. So that's the land flipping blueprint. Is that also what you're covering in your recession proof wholesaling community? Because that's the fire.
Right, right. So in the recession proof wholesaling Facebook group, so it's free. You could just go there and you could just
Ah,
take a look at all the videos that I have there. I got a bunch of contracts there, everything, and then we do have like a weekly coaching call. So just go ahead and DM me on Instagram, and I'll share the link. So that's like a weekly group coaching calls with a few different people. So yeah, man, and it's teaching you everything, man. It's anything with commercial multifamily or houses or land, anything. Like, I'm your guy.
the humblest guys tend to be the best teachers. And I see a guy like you, and I don't know the economics of any of this other stuff we just talked about, but I do know you do a lot of this for like the passion of it, to
Yeah.
share your story of it, to inspire others. Do you got some stories of people that, have you felt the impact that you're making? Because I know I can
Oh
see
yeah.
it, but have you felt the impact?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. It's incredible, man. And like you said, man, I mean, I do the I do the I give a lot of things away for free just because I want
Yeah.
to help people. If you
Yeah.
help God's children, God is going to help you. So I
Amen.
got to take care of a lot of people. And I want to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
That way I can be helped.
Amen.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, I felt it's a great feeling, man. Like helping somebody else get their own deal. It almost feels better than actually making a deal
Yeah.
on my side. Like if I close a deal, it's gonna be like, oh, cool, nice.
Yeah.
If somebody else closes a deal that I helped, man, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like my first deal, to be honest, you know?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
get that, you know, I get that rush. It's kind of like a rush that you
it
get.
is. It's
Yeah,
that
so
dopamine hit. It's that dopamine
yeah,
hit watching somebody do that.
it's like
And,
reliving that first deal basically for me. So
it's just watching people because a lot of times part of our business as leaders in any capacity is to believe in somebody else more than they believe in themselves at that moment. And so
100%.
when you see them finally break through that ceiling and they're looking up and they're like, "Oh shit, I just did it. I did it." And know that you were standing there with that ladder, Wilney, and that it was either your story, the fact that you shared your story, you're not selfish with your story, the fact that you have this free community, it's where it's at, man. I think you're by far one of the most transparent people in this
Thank you, man.
space.
I
I
appreciate
think
that.
that you're honest and you really share yours. I mean, you go through your X, you're going to see losses and wins, losses and wins. And every time there's a loss, there's something like everything happens good for me. Everything is good for a reason. And you can just see you in that instance, always finding the lining in that cloud, that silver lining. So how
Yeah.
does everybody find you? We talked about X. They find you on X at and give me all the credentials.
Yeah, so on Instagram I'm at Willny Guifarro. That's Will NY like New York and Guifarro. It should be that
Okay.
little there.
Bam.
And yeah, man, it's pretty active on Instagram and Twitter. It's X. I mean, it's Willny Guifarro 1. And yeah, any way I
Cool,
can
man.
help, guys, let me know. You know, would love to help anybody out, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. I can just say again, I'm humbled. Thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank
come
you.
out here and chat with us, man. We'll keep on following your journey. And to me, you're also an inspiration as well, man. I love like following
Likewise,
and
man.
following and following. It's cool, man. And if you guys, if you want to get into the wholesaling space, if you just want to get your mindset pushed in the right direction, see somebody who's been in the trenches, who literally started out with nothing in this space, lost jobs in the beginning because he was at some 9 to 5 job and then grinding out so much so that he got fired, cold calling Craigslist leads, to now having a $700,000 deal under his belt. Follow Wilney, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, man. I
All right.
appreciate
Have a
the
good one,
invite.
bro. All
You
right.
too.
Bye bye.